County. And he will also have monthly guests along with .7 FM and BeaverCountyRadio.com. You're listening to 95.7 FM, 99.3 FM, presented by St. Barnabas, in addition to 1230 WBVP Beaver Falls and 1460 WMBA Ambridge. Welcome to the Best of Beaver County, presented by St. Barnabas, a weekly segment dedicated to putting the focus on the amazing things and the amazing people behind them in Beaver County. The Best of Beaver County is sponsored by and content is provided by St. Barnabas. The show airs every Thursday from 11 to 11:30 on WBVP, WMBA, 99.
Network. Since 1900, St. Barnabas has been focused on increasing the quality of life by caring for people in southwest Pennsylvania. Today, in Allegheny, Beaver, and Butler counties, we offer a full continuum of care for our residents, patients, and retirement community family. The St. Barnabas Health System has developed into a visionary leader in the healthcare industry through compassionate and quality care, offering an array of unparalleled health services from skilled nursing to extensive memory care activities and programs. Additionally, the medical center has world-class doctor and dentistry teams where patients can receive a full range of services under one roof that also include rehabilitation, home health and home care, hospice care, and palliative care. In building upon its heritage, St. Barnabas continues to reach those in need and live out its mission through individual and institutional services that promote the health, education, and social needs of others. Men and women are invited to join in the work of Christian caring, healing, and teaching as we bear witness to our founder's reminder, God is able. We're looking forward to the return of and talking with our next guest, as his work experience is something that books are written about and full-length movies are produced. That is exactly what has happened. Ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming Ray Morrow. Ray is a former FBI undercover agent. He is also a book author, and hopefully soon we'll be able to see his words, his life in a movie. Ray, welcome back to the Best of Beaver County. Good morning.
Good morning, Mike. How are you today?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for coming on today. We've been anxiously anticipating your return to the program, and it's good to have you on once again. How does FBI work compare with being an author and trying to get that book turned into a movie?
Well, I think FBI works a lot easier than trying to get something something that you've written made into a movie. I've never been through an experience like that in my life, and I can tell you that the first opportunity that I had, I signed a contract with a producer out in Hollywood, and we started, and then about a year into it, the pandemic hit. And that really just shut everything down. And then when we got back into it, a lot of things had changed. There was a lot of, with law enforcement, at that point, a lot of people disappointed with the way law enforcement was handling things. So that kind of lost the glory that we had going in. But there was a lot of writing involved. And what we were doing was writing it two ways, writing it for a movie and then also writing for a potential Netflix miniseries. And it was just constant back and forth writing scenarios. And in the beginning, it was going the way I wanted it to go, really as truthful to the case that and the depiction that I wanted. And then sort of after the pandemic, things kind of changed, and it turned in a way that I really didn't like, and it was basically creating me becoming a drug addict during the case, hitting rock bottom, and then redeeming myself and bringing the case to its fruition. And at that point, I kind of just stopped everything with the producer that I had, and again, that was almost 4 years of work that just constant writing almost every day, and it just come to an end because I was just not going to allow what I had done and what the way I wanted to be portrayed to go in a direction that I did not like. And I just thought, what would my family think? What would my friends think if they saw that? And I didn't want to depict it that way. So that caused some issues, and we kind of moved on. And I broke off as of January of this year. My deal ended with that producer. So at that point, I thought, that's it. I'm too old. I've wasted 4 years of my time. I'm not going to do this. People kept asking, are you going to pursue this? I just didn't see, that I had the energy or the time to do it again. Mm-hmm. And so I let it go. And just a couple months, actually a few months ago, I got a call from a gentleman by the name of Gary Popora, who was also from Hopewell. Gary graduated the year after I didn't. I graduated in 73. Gary graduated in 74. And for the past 20 years, Gary has been a screenwriter working out in Hollywood and has really built up quite a few credentials with his writing abilities. And he contacted me and asked me if I was under contract at this time. And I said, ironically, no. And so we had a few more discussions. And then Gary came back just a few weeks ago with exactly what he wanted to do and how he proposed we would do it. And it's exactly what I thought, exactly the way I wanted to do it. So I was very excited about this. Gary's finishing up a project now that he's writing for a producer out in California, and will probably in May start the ball rolling again. And according to Gary, we might be able to get this done in 8 to 12 months. So everything that Gary has said is exactly what I want and in the direction that I want to go. But you can't be faint of heart and deal with Hollywood. I'll tell you that right now. It's a strange breed out there.
Well, it sounds like they wanted to turn you into Donnie Brasco, although it wouldn't be bad to have Johnny Depp portray you.
Yeah. Although, I've been asked who I would like, and I always say, Tom Selleck back in the 80s, because I think we look a lot alike back then.
Well, it sounds like you and I both grew up in the same era, the 60s and the 70s. Did Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. have any impression on you to get into the FBI?
But you nailed it, Mike. I'm telling you, that was my favorite show growing up. And even in the book, I open up with a scene that I remembered from one of the shows, from one of the FBI shows with Ephraim Zimbalist Jr. So, yes, that had a huge impact on my fascination with the FBI. At that point was where it really started with that show, and then it continued to grow with different things. I was probably like 13 or 14 years old. And my father had to take me down to a municipal building in Hopewell, which is right by. Well, he had to go, and I had to go to the baseball field right next door. I had a game, and so he was taking me. We went into the municipal building, and there's some police officers standing around. There's a gentleman dressed immaculately in a suit, and all the police officers are looking at this guy, and obviously this guy's in charge, and he's telling them, whatever he was telling them, they were listening and taking his commands. And I'm thinking, man, who is that guy? And one of the police officers broke away, and my father knew him, and my father started talking to him, and he introduced me to him, and I immediately asked the guy, I said, who is that in the suit? And my father got a little upset by that, but anyway, the guy says, well, that's an FBI agent out of the Pittsburgh office. And at that point, I go, that's what I want to do right there. I want to be able to tell police what to do. So from that point on, it was, I was going in the FBI no matter what.
Mm-hmm. Back in those days, Hopewell wasn't, and even by today's standards, Hopewell's not one of those areas that's a hotbed for crime and those sort of things, breaking the laws. Hopewell's a pretty quiet community.
Yeah, exactly. And again, it really was the fascination of Ephraim Zimbalist Jr., the FBI, and just a lot of reading. I was fascinated by J. Edgar Hoover as well. And you're right. I was probably the only one in Hopewell guys I hung out with that had any interest in the FBI at all.
Yeah, very good. Interesting stuff. And so that's what inspired you to pursue the career in law enforcement, or did you just skip over that and think the FBI is where my final destination is? I want to get there as fast as I can.
Yeah, that was it. In fact, I just wanted I didn't want to mess around. I just wanted to be an FBI agent. And right out of college, right after I graduated, I got a job with the FBI as a fingerprint examiner. And that's not a very nice career, but I figured once they see me, once I get down to Washington, get to headquarters, and they see me, they're going to make me an agent right away. And that didn't happen. And you can only look at fingerprints for so long. At that time, now it's all computerized, but at that time, it was looking through a little magnifying glass and marking the whirls and swirls and loops and marking on the identification cards. And I did that for a year. I said, that's about enough of this. So I went with the Secret Service Uniform Division.
And what is that? What's the Secret Service Uniform Division?
That's the security officers that work outside the inside the White House and outside protecting grounds. They protect the first family. They also protect the embassies throughout the country, mostly in Washington and New York. But they're the uniformed officers that are at the White House.
Okay, and that you found that fascinating over the years?
You know what? More than fascinating, I couldn't have been more honored and humbled by the fact that I was at the White House 1 year out of college, protecting the president and the first family. I mean, that's a feeling that to me just gave me chills. Mm-hmm. That every day I walked into the White House and protected the president and the first family. That was just something that to me it was incomparable.
Yeah. We're talking, our guest is Ray Morrow. Ray is a former FBI undercover agent. He wrote a book about those experiences, and they're turning that book into a movie. He had illusions of grandeur, big dreams to become the next Elliot Ness. He ended up in a room with a magnifying glass, looking at fingerprints, and moved on to the Secret Service. So we'd like to talk about some of the presidents that you protected and your work as a Secret Service agent when we continue on the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network.
We're retired, and we live at St. Barnabas.
Radio Network. We are talking with Ray Morrow. Ray is a former FBI undercover agent. He's from Hopewell, hooked up with another Hopewell individual, and now they're going to make a movie about Ray's life as a former FBI undercover agent as well as a Secret Service agent. He has a book out now. Ray, what is the name of that book? Is it still in publication?
Yes, it is. It's Broken Shield.
Okay, Broken Shield.
Yes.
Okay. Very good. And we were talking a little bit when we went to the break. We were talking about your Secret Service work. Are you allowed to speak about the presidents that you have worked protecting?
Well, I was only there from 1978 to 1980, and that was Jimmy Carter.
Okay.
So, but a couple of opportunities that I had while there was I was there for the signing of the Middle East Peace Treaty with Anwar Sadat and Menachem Begum, which was really an extraordinary moment at that time. And I was also there when Pope John Paul visited, and I was assigned to his protective detail, working with some of the people on his staff. And that to me was, as a Catholic, probably one of the greatest thrills I've ever had.
Yeah, sounds like it. And were you at Camp David for the Camp David Accords?
No, I did not go to Camp David.
Okay.
I was only there at the White House when they did the signing of the peace treaty.
Well, I know there was one time where President Carter came to Beaver Falls and spoke from the steps of the Carnegie Library here back in those days. Were you a part of the detail then?
I was at the White House at that time. I did not travel.
It was interesting as a civilian, and you watch these things because they came in a couple of days in advance and they went over everything, and then they went on the rooftops everywhere around the library just to protect the president. What goes into all that, if you can, I guess, skirt around the edges because you can't give all the information about it?
Yeah, that the advanced security is really the nuts and bolts of the attack. That's really how everything gets done. Every step that the president is going to take and his staff is coordinated by that advance team. So when they report back, the president and his staff know exactly where they're going to be, how they're going to get there, who's going to be in the room with them, where the escape routes are. They detail what hospitals, where if anything would happen. They already have the hospitals and the doctors in line waiting. There are times when they will weld manhole covers shut. It really depends on the scope and the details of the trip as to how in depth. But they cover everything. They are extraordinary at protecting the president. And then with the snipers on the roof, people in the crowds, they really do a fantastic job. And it takes a lot of manpower to get that done. A lot of man hours, and I did something similar to that after I left the Secret Service. I worked protecting the president. I don't know if you remember the company Allegheny International.
Yes.
And I would do advance trips for him, and then in the FBI, I was on the director's detail working for Louis Freeh, and I did about 13 overseas advance trips for him. Basically incorporating everything that I had learned from the Secret Service and how they do things and try to do it the same way. But it's intensive. It is they leave no stone unturned. They are very, very good at what they do.
Yeah. We are speaking with Ray Morrow, a former FBI undercover agent who is turning his book into a movie very soon. And when we started, Ray, you talked about Netflix miniseries, and I just finished watching one called Designated Survivor, which is about the Oval Office. I don't know, when you see these things in the protection of the presidents, we see them as talking into their wrists a lot to keep in touch with other agents around. How accurate is the portrayal of Secret Service or FBI agents?
I think in general they're close, but there's a lot of things, and it angers my family when I watch a show and I go, they can't do that. That's not going to, But the Hollywood effect, the entertainment effect has to come in, because if you just put exactly what they do, it'd be very boring. Mm-hmm. So it is something that for entertainment purposes you have to understand that. Yeah, okay, that's very entertaining, but that's not how they do it. They can't do it that way. Those types of things. And I'm serious. My family refuses to watch movies with me because I always pick this out. But there are some that I've seen that are very, very good, and But I do understand that they, in having gone through what I went through, that they just can't put what you do on a day-to-day basis because no one would watch it.
Yeah. And Ray, you can't even talk about that stuff while you are part of the protection, while you're part of the agencies either, although some have over the years, more recently, I suppose. But back in the day, it was very strict, and you had to be very, strict and discreet about what you were doing. When it came time, how did you consider this book, and what made you think that this is something that people would want to know about?
Let me be honest with you, Mike. When I completed my undercover operation, I at the end in 1992, I had 5 years in the bureau, and I knew that was my career. I got a lot of, hey, you should write a book, offers, and at that time there were two reasons I didn't want to do the book. One was I had just ruined the lives of 47 families. And I didn't feel at that point like as if I wanted to add any more pain or insult by writing a book about it. I mean, the families went through a lot with all the media coverage of the case and the trials, and I just didn't think it was right at that time. And the second reason, which is probably the more important reason, I would have had to quit the bureau to be able to write the book. That you're not allowed to write a book about your FBI cases while you're still in the bureau. So for those two reasons, I didn't write a book and didn't want to write a book. And it wasn't until I think it was like 2017 when I got asked to do a radio podcast about my case, and I did it. And the young lady was a retired FBI agent who has written books, and she convinced me, you need to write a book. And I don't know if I want to do that. And I got a couple of other calls. I got a call from a famous undercover agent in the bureau by the name of Jack Garcia. And Jack said, look, I'm going to call you on Saturday. I told him I didn't want to do it. He said, I'm going to call you on Saturday, and we're going to go through this. You need to write this book. So I spent about 2 hours with Jack, and I decided, okay, I'm going to do this. And I just, for the next year, sat down every day. I come home from work, go downstairs, and just start writing for about 3 or 4 hours a night. And when I was done, I found an editor, Lindsay Friedman, who helped me get it published. And that's the story. I mean, I literally had no intentions of writing a book.
I would be remiss if I didn't go back and ask you, because I'm not aware. You said you had just ruined 47 lives. What happened?
Well, the 30 police officers that had been indicted and arrested, and then there were 17 other individuals who were indicted and arrested for various things that they had done. So, I mean, for the police officers, they, basically lost their pensions. They're going to jail. Not a good thing when a police officer goes to jail. And for the families of the people, the other 17, their loved ones are going to jail or paying fines. So that's what I mean by I just ruined the lives of 47 families. And when I say that, I mean all the 47 people that were indicted and arrested in the case.
You were like a Frank Serpico then at the time.
I wish.
Would you put that on the comparison? I mean, really, there were people within the force, the people that you had to report on, that probably you weren't very well looked at the time, were you?
Yeah, it was a real quick story. At one point, we got word that Internal Affairs, Cleveland Police Department's Internal Affairs, was going to stake out our gambling night. And so we canceled it. And one of the Internal Affairs officers outside of this warehouse where we ran the casino sat in a dumpster overnight waiting for us to show up. And when the day of the arrest, I had no idea this had happened, but on the day of the arrest, this Internal Affairs officer comes up to me and he introduced himself and he said, I hated your guts. I wanted to kick your ass. He said something bad.
Yeah, right. That's okay.
And I looked at him and said, why? He goes, I spent a night in a dumpster for you. And so he explained to me what had happened, that they did surveil the place, but we never showed up because we got word that they were going to be there. So, and the thing that really bothered me was, I looked up to policemen. I looked up to people in law enforcement. And here we had 30 Cleveland police officers who were willing to do just about anything other than what they were supposed to do. And that really bothered me.
It's fascinating. Although I have a colleague that has spent some time in dumpsters before, but it wasn't as glamorous as you were making it out to be. Ray Morrow is our guest, and talk about, you mentioned it earlier about your work with Mr. Paporo from Hollywood, or from Hopewell again. This was really bizarre for you two to be able to hook up, and that he was willing to work with you and give you more creative control over the whole project so that you can get this movie made.
Yeah, it was out of the blue, and I was taken aback by the fact that Gary was interested in it, and he said he had briefly read my book, looked at some of the reviews, thought it would be that the timing was very good, and that he's currently working with a lot of producers and writers who were working on law enforcement shows, crime shows, and he said, your book just sounds like we can do a lot with this. And like I say, I was completely taken back by it. I was caught off guard. But after a few conversations with Gary, seeing again his thoughts and where he wanted to take this, and the fact that he laid it out. This is what we're going to do. This is how we're going to do it. I'm in control. You're gonna tell me what's right and what's wrong, but I'm going to direct this thing. And Gary, I'm on board with you. Let's do this. So again, like I say, I just talked to him about 2 weeks ago, and he's finishing up a project, and so we hoping to get started maybe I'm hoping like by May we'll start to get started on this. And the other thing I like is Gary's taking control of all the writing, which I've had my share of it, and I'll help in any way. But like I say, I really look forward to it. And the first time that we spoke and communicated, I was very impressed with his command of and knowledge of what he wanted to do with this.
Yeah, it's interesting because over the past 25 years, there have been a lot of big-name actors and movie productions that have come to Beaver County. Any hope the two Hopewell guys would bring this production to Beaver County?
I would that would be a goal. I would love to do that. So yeah, that's if we can work that out, we would definitely do that. I know Gary and I would both like to do that.
Yeah, well, I know that there's an image of people in radio that we have faces for radio. That's why we're here and not on TV. Are you canvassing for actors? Should we start sending headshots?
Send us your headshots, Mike. If you're from Beaver County, you're probably going to be in.
And do you have any idea of who you would like to? If there's an actor out there, I know Gene Hackman is already retired, but is there an actor that you would like to portray you? There is one. That Miles Teller, the gentleman that I don't know if you saw the offer about the. He played the producer of The Godfather. Right. Yeah. Okay. I know exactly what you're talking about.
That's the first I'd seen him, and I saw him in a couple other things. He's really, really good. I really liked him.
Yeah, he's a handsome young man.
Yes, that's what I'm looking for, Mike. Someone that could actually resemble me. I want to make sure they get it right.
Okay. And has your family given you any input into that?
Just my daughter.
Yeah.
My daughter has. She's big with a couple of names, Kit Harington, and I forget. She gave me a couple, but I remember the name Kit Harington. I think he was from the Game of Thrones or something like that.
Okay, at least that's not Gandalf or anybody like that would have looking like you. Ray, it has been a pleasure talking with you, and we look forward to you being able to get that movie up on the screen. Get it done, get your dream come true, and congratulations with hooking up with another Beaver County guy. Thank you. We'd like to have you on again sometime, especially as it gets closer to having the film produced and put on the big screen.
Absolutely, Mike. I'm here for you guys whenever you need me.
We appreciate it. Thank you so much. Ray Morrow has been our guest, author Ray Morrow, and soon to be big Hollywood star. This is the Best of Beaver County radio show on the St. Barnabas Radio Network. I'm Mike Romigh. Coming up next after the news at the bottom of the hour is notes on entertainment. Be safe and live healthy.